What's up, everybody? Welcome to a little Debate Mates mini. I'm Matthew Swanenberg, and I'm here because we have two huge NBA games on tonight. We're down to the final 8 teams in the NBA in-season tournament, and so we got some single elimination winner-go-home action tonight. Starting in the Eastern Conference with the Orlando Magic, the wild card team in the East play-in, or in the East in-season tournament, and the Milwaukee Bucks, who won their group, beating the Pistons in the 4th game of group play to advance and secure their group. So this game, it could have been a lot more exciting, but Franz Wagner is out, hurt his oblique, a torn oblique, joining Paolo Banchero, who also tore his oblique a few months ago. Oddly enough, the third most recent player to suffer an oblique injury, Cole Anthony, their Magic teammate. What's going on in Orlando? I'm not sure. But nonetheless, here is a quick preview of the Magic and Bucks, and then the final game of the night is the Mavericks and the Thunder. So starting with Magic Bucks, like I said, a game that projected to be a little bit more entertaining when this group first got announced or when this final first got finalized, because we had Franz Wagner playing at an all-star level, and the Magic, although we're never going to have Paolo in this game, we're looking a little bit more healthy. And now missing their two best players, coming off of a win, their first win since Paolo Banchero got drafted, where they haven't had Paolo or Franz Wagner, came on Saturday night against the Phoenix Suns. But the Suns were without Kevin Durant, so it's hard to really judge who this team is without Franz or without Paolo. All we've ever seen from him in the past is a team that struggles on offense, but will stay in games because they're so good defensively. They gave up 110 points to the Suns, who, like I said, without Kevin Durant, have really struggled. Still 110 points in the modern NBA is a pretty good defensive showing. I really like how the Magic match up against the Bucks. I like the matchups of Jalen Suggs on Damian Lillard. Jonathan Isaac is questionable for this game with a hamstring injury, but I feel like if you were to create a player in a lab who you wanted to guard Giannis Antetokounmpo, it would be somebody like Jonathan Isaac as far as athleticism goes and size and strength. Giannis does average over 30 points per game against Isaac in his career, but Giannis averages that against basically everybody. The Bucks are just too good for this injured, depleted Magic squad. I think it's going to be a close game, though. The Magic, with the exception of the final game of the in-season tournament against the New York Knicks, don't really get blown out because they play such good defense. They're not going to beat themselves. Goga Bitadze was one of the biggest reasons that they were able to beat the Suns, who they beat by 5 on Sunday night, like I said, or Saturday night, like I said. But against Brook Lopez, it's going to be a bit of a different story. The Suns were without Yusuf Nurkic, so that center play down there allows for a guy like Bitadze to have 21 and 15 like he did. Brook Lopez is a much better interior defender and much bigger paint presence. I do like Mo Wagner off the bench for the Bucks, or for the Magic, as someone who can make a difference in this game, because the Bucks are sort of thin in their front court. Both of these teams, it's going to be a war of attrition on the bench. I do like the Magic's bench a little bit better, even though Chris Middleton has been coming off the bench for the Bucks. He's on such a short minutes restriction, only getting about 20 a game, that I give the Magic bench a little bit of an advantage. Cole Anthony had a pretty good game against the Suns in that win. If he can have another 15 type of points output, then again, that could possibly tilt the game in the Magic's favor. But ultimately, I think even though I give their bench the small advantage in this game, I think the Bucks starting 5 is just going to be too good. Like I said, Jonathan Isaac is the perfect type of player to defend Giannis, but Giannis still is going to put up his numbers. Damian Lillard has been playing pretty well recently. They finally look like they've gotten a little bit of cohesion. They've turned the corner a little bit, although they're coming off of a few rough games, a loss to the Hawks, then a loss to the Celtics, who are the Celtics, and then a close win over the Brooklyn Nets. This team is too good. They're a 7.5-point favorite at home. I do think the Bucks or the Magic will cover that line because, like I said, they play really good defense. They're in a whole lot of close games. I just question where the scoring will come from. Another thing, aside from the bench, that could potentially give the Magic an edge in this game is they shoot 5 more three-pointers a game than the Bucks. So with how the NBA is right now in the three-point variance, that's a way that we've seen a lot of bad teams stay in games or potentially win games against some better teams, is you just win the math game. And the Magic could potentially do that tonight. They're going to be trying to get them up. Jalen Suggs is a solid shooter. Kentavious Caldwell-Pope is still waiting for his 3-ball to come around this season. But they don't really have a stretch 5, and the Bucks, one of their biggest defensive weaknesses has always been that they've played in drop. Goga Bitadze isn't much of a threat. Neither is Mo Wagner off the bench, although he will let it fly a little bit from 3. Like I said, I think Magic covered the 7.5 point line. I do think the Bucks get the win though, in advance to play the winner of Knicks or Hawks in the Eastern Conference in-season tournament final. For the Western Conference game, we've got the Mavericks and the Thunder playing at 9:30 in Oklahoma City. Mavericks are the wild card team. Thunder won their group, a tough group with the Suns and with the Spurs. The Spurs were in position to win the group until they lost to the Suns on the final night. That was the game where Kevin Durant got hurt, twisted his ankle. Since then, the Suns have just been really reeling without Kevin Durant. But back to this game, Mavericks versus Thunder. I think the Mavericks cover this line, and I think they get the win in advance. Luka Doncic has been on a heater since he came back from his wrist injury. A lot of people have theorized that it was sort of just a break for him to get back in shape because the three ball really wasn't falling to start the season. He was kind of foul baiting and looked like he was unsure of how he was going to score his points and just trying to get to the line to get into any sort of rhythm, and he wasn't able to do that. He wasn't getting the calls that he had been used to getting in the past and was sort of just driving into the paint willy-nilly, throwing up his kind of patented fading out of bounds floater off the backboard and wasn't getting the calls. And since then, though, since the wrist injury or the break to get in shape, whatever you want to call it, he's been playing really well. He's played 4 games. 3 of them he scored over 30 points. 3 of them he's hit over 4 3-pointers. All 4 of them he's had double doubles. In the most recent 2, he's had triple doubles. The Mavericks are the hottest team in the NBA right now. The Thunder are so good defensively, though. I still give the edge to the Mavericks. Luka, Kyrie, if Quentin Grimes can hit his 3 ball a little bit, if Najee Marshall comes back tonight, I like him as a defender against Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, against Jalen Williams. They have other guys they can throw at him like PJ Washington, who did a great job against the Thunder in the playoffs. This is a playoff matchup that we saw last year. The Thunder 1-6, or the Mavericks 1-6. Very different teams now, though. No Chet Holmgren. We've got Isaiah Hartenstein instead as the center for the Thunder. And of course, the Mavericks big men were a big advantage for them in the playoffs last year with Daniel Gafford and Derek Lively. Sorry, I'm getting the Ravens and the Mavericks mixed up right now. They had a big center advantage over the Thunder, which doesn't play as well as it does anymore because Isaiah Hartenstein's a big guy down there who's good at getting offensive rebounds, defensive rebounds, and is just a presence in the paint. The Thunder's ball movement and 3-point shooting could end up tilting the game in their favor a little bit. Cason Wallace has really been knocking down the 3 ball. Aaron Wiggins, they've got so many guys off the bench like Isaiah Joe who can shoot it. And then in the starting lineup, you're playing 5 shooters now, or 4 shooters around Hartenstein, with Shai Gilgeous-Alexander adding a little bit more of a 3 ball to his game, both catch and shoot and off the dribble. We're seeing him step into it with a little bit more confidence this year. But I do like who the Mavericks can throw at him. Like I said, PJ Washington did a good job guarding him in the playoffs last year. Najee Marshall's a good defender. Quentin Grimes is a solid defender. Let's see what Klay Thompson can do in this game. He's looked a little washed so far to start the season. This is a big game for him, probably the biggest stage that the Mavericks have been on all season, aside from the game against the Warriors, where Klay, again, had some stretches where he looked pretty good, but overall was pretty bad. I like to see him have a big game in this game. There's going to be so much defensive attention on Luka and on Kyrie that a guy like Klay can kind of fall by the wayside, which is kind of what the goal was this season, was you'd forget about Klay and he'd get some wide open shots. I could see him having a really big 3rd or 4th quarter in this game and really helping the Mavericks get that win. I think Luka's going to have a really big game like he always does and has since he's come back from his little injury, little break. I think the Mavericks cover, like I said, and get this win. So those are my predictions for the 2 games tonight. I think the Bucks win against the Magic, although I think that will be a close game because of how good the Magic are defensively, and I think they have a little bit of a bench advantage. And then I think the Mavericks beat the Thunder. I think Luka and Kyrie both have really big games. I like the defense that the Mavericks can play on the Thunder guards and wings. And the Mavericks right now, one of the hottest teams in the league, probably the best bench in the league. They're so deep. And with guys coming back tonight, like I said, Najee Marshall hasn't played in a while, and they still looked really good. I just like this Thunder team or the Mavericks team to get a win and what I think will be a really close and entertaining game. So let's see if I'm right. Let me know in the comments what you guys think will happen tonight. And then tomorrow we'll have the predictions for the next group of games.